friends, how are you today? My name's Miss Sally, and I brought my book bag today. Should we see what's in it? One of my favorites. Are you ready? This is kind of long, but I think you'll like it. It's called Harvey Potter's Balloon Farm. Balloon Farm. Lots of little things to find in this book today. There's little Harvey waving from behind his cow. This is by Gergley and the pictures are by Mark Bruner. Let's see. Harvey Potter's Balloon Farm. Now this is different than Harry Potter. This is Harvey Potter. Are you ready? Harvey Potter was a strange fellow indeed. He was a farmer, but he didn't farm like my daddy did. He farmed a genuine U.S. government-inspected balloon farm. No one knew exactly how he did it. Some folks say that it wasn't real, that it was magic. But I know what I saw, and those were real, actual balloons, growing right out of the plain old ground. Harvey Potter had some of the prettiest balloons and the colors you'd ever want to see on a balloon farm. There was pleasing purple, orange ray sun, yellin' yellow, there was rip two-shot red, jelly bean black, bloomin' blue, and grassy green. He had all kinds of shapes too. Round balloons, long ones, animal shapes, clowns with big noses and mouths. He even grew monster balloons with scary faces and big sharp teeth in time for Halloween. Oh, look at all those. Can you see them? I tell you, Harvey Potter was a strange fellow, all right. To look at him, he was quite plain. Never wore nothing to draw attention to himself. His hair was kept close cropped to his head. Overalls with a shirt underneath were his uniform. There was nothing special about his face either. What wasn't so plain about him was that conjure stick he carried with him wherever he went. Sometimes he used it to scratch his back, but mostly he just carried it under his arm. It was Weasel Mayfield who called the government on him. So the government come out to Harvey Potter's balloon farm bright and early one morning. Our whole town turned out for them, and though nobody said what they thought, we all held our breath, hoping we could keep our balloons. We never knowed how to grow nothing but trees, maple, sycamore, pine, and oak, and regular kinds of stuff like corn and okra and tomatoes. But Harvey Potter grew balloons. No one knew what he used for seed either. Anyway, the government men were standing around in white coats and white hats and white gloves. They kept us so far back we could hardly see. But I climbed up into the sycamore tree and I saw everything. They pulled and they poked, and finally they pricked one of those balloons with a pin. And what was supposed to happen did. The balloon popped. Even they couldn't argue with that. So they gave Harvey Potter the right to grow balloons. He never asked them for it, mind you, but he took it anyway, just to be polite. Let me tell you, it made everyone happy. Well, almost everyone. Weasel was sore. Oh, he looks grouchy. I like balloons to make everybody happy. Now, I had grown quite an interest in Harvey Potter's balloon farm, and I decided I was going to get to know him. He didn't seem to mind. In fact, he let me get to know him right good. I'd bring him lemonade or sit on his porch and swing in his swing. But he never would confide in me about how he grew those balloons. I didn't pry. After a while, I just liked going around him. He didn't ask, questions about why you weren't this or that. He just let a person be. He let a person sit and think out loud sometimes. And, well, that's a mighty good thing to do. Still, something in me was just a hankering to know. So I decided I was just going to go out there in the nighttime. That's when he did his field work. I told you he was strange. To this day, I am indebted to that sycamore tree and that big old moon. Oh, it was as full as it was wide that night. I saw him the second he opened his door, plain as day. He stood there on his front porch, hands inside his pockets, looking straight ahead where the fields were. That conjure stick was under his arm. He just stood there, eyes staring straight ahead at something off yonder ways. Then he came down off that porch, step, step, step. His steps all seemed so big and so loud. It must have been his heavy field shoes. He walked down to the field, and without a sign of warning, he commenced to holler. The next thing I knew, he started dancing and prancing with that stick held out in front of him like it was his dancing partner. Then that stick started to glow a nice orangey color and stood up directly on its own. And when it rose up into the air, Harvey Potter rose up right along with it. Oh, look at that. Can you see? The two of them were making some mighty fine footwork 6 feet or so off the ground. Why, it appeared as if the two of them had turned into glowing balloons themselves. Together it was a very strange sight, which got even stranger. Harvey Potter dropped back down to the earth, grabbed hold of that stick, waved it around over his head, and he yelled as he carried on so, "Ee-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya, I'm not ashamed to say I was a mighty scared. I would have jumped right on down to run for home, but my eyes were just plain glued to Harvey Potter. And all the while, then Harvey Potter let go of that stick, and it started to bounce and float over the field in nice, neat rows. And all the while, Harvey Potter just kept a whooping and a screeching, "Ee-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya, ee-ya-ya-ya-ya." All of a sudden, that stick came to a complete halt and flew right back into his hand. That's crazy. That's when Harvey Potter stopped screeching. He turned around and looked directly up at that sycamore tree. I thought for sure he saw me, but I guess not, because he turned back on around, went into his house, and didn't come out again. I climbed down and fell off to sleep, waiting. In the morning, when I woke up, wet with dew and shivering cold, little bitty colored mounds were popping up all over the ground. When I went back after supper time, they had all come up in the glory of that day's sun. I tell you, it was a sight. Harvey Potter saw me out there in his field, admiring his latest crop of balloons. He said I could take as many as I wanted. I took 3. A clown and an elephant, and I couldn't resist the jelly bean black one. I didn't touch the monster ones, on account of they were just too plain scary for me. Oh, those were the days. Harvey Potter went right on growing the best, prettiest balloons this side of anywhere. And we never heard a word from the government men again either. As for Weasel Mayfield, he packed up and moved off to parts unknown. He was so riled up over the fun we were having with our balloons. He just didn't like it. Oh, see? Look at all those balloons. Oh, I remember those times very well. It was the summer of '59 when I was a hankering to leave home myself to find out what the world had to offer. Harvey Potter grew me a balloon that was big enough to carry me off. That's how I landed in this place here. I never did go back home, never did want to. This place here was just right for me. Now, here she is, all grown up. These days I farm, and I'm not one to brag, but I have harvested my 32nd crop of balloons. Now, I don't grow mine the exact same way as Harvey Potter does, on account of I'm not Harvey Potter. I have my own methods. Maybe I'll show you someday. Oh, look how hers grow. They grow under the ground. Well, I hope you liked my story today. It really is one of my favorites. I hope you had a good time today. I did. I'll see you next time. Bye.